The rumor that Professor Evans bribed online trolls to accuse Ethan Cole of plagiarism spread like wildfire across the university network overnight. Ethan was surprised things were going so smoothly. It seemed people weren't blind enough to believe Professor Evans's lies. Ethan was eager to see how Professor Evans would handle this. He was about to log off the forum when his phone rang. Seeing the caller ID, he hesitated, a slight tremor running through him. Nick grasped Ethan's hand in support. After a moment's hesitation, Ethan turned and washed his face before answering the call just before it went to voicemail. Professor Thompson didn't even get a chance to speak. Ethan was immediately met with Professor Thompson's furious voice from the other end. "Were you behind those posts online? What are you trying to do? I already let this drop. Your leaving the research group was your decision. No one forced you to." Before Professor Thompson could launch into another tirade, Ethan put the call on speakerphone and tossed the phone on the bed. Professor Thompson's angry voice echoed through the room. "I don't care what you want to do. Get those posts taken down. I don't want this to spread any further. Just pretend I never had a student like you. And from now on, don't call me professor anymore. And don't start anything with Kevin Bell." Everyone in the room could hear. Chad and David moved closer to Ethan. Ethan laughed humorlessly and shook his head. "I'm okay," he said to them. He then addressed Professor Thompson directly. "Professor, I'm grateful for your guidance over the years. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be where I am today. But if you insist you never had a student like me, I won't tell anyone that you were my professor, either. Our mentorship ends here. From now on, we're strangers. As for the posts online, I don't have the power to have them removed. Everyone has freedom of speech. Even if I wanted to take them down, they have to agree to take them down first." Professor Thompson took a deep breath. "So, you're not admitting you had anything to do with this?" "I'd love to say I did, but I haven't even had time to do anything," Ethan said coldly. "Even though that was our initial plan, we didn't have time to do anything. It can only be said that justice has its own will, and no one is blind." "What are you talking about? What did Kevin do to you that you have to do this to him? The entire campus is calling him names. You left the research group on your own. Why blame it on him? Last time, he almost had a mental breakdown because of the gossip. Do you want to kill him this time?" Everyone in the room was stunned. The hot-tempered David couldn't hold back. "Professor Thompson, let me just say something. What did Ethan do to force Kevin to attempt suicide? The people who are scolding Kevin online aren't hired by Ethan. Moreover, are you sure that Kevin didn't hurt Ethan? If Ethan is at fault, it's that he didn't ask the school to investigate the plagiarism issue in the first place." Chad also spoke up. "If you had investigated and proved that Kevin didn't plagiarize, there wouldn't have been any rumors later. Without the rumors, Kevin wouldn't have had a breakdown. If he hadn't had a breakdown, how could Ethan have forced him to attempt suicide? In short, you can't blame this on Ethan." Nick added, "Even if Ethan wasn't accepted into your research group, it was because he wasn't competent enough, not because of some ridiculous reason." Professor Thompson, not expecting Ethan to put the call on speaker, was momentarily speechless. "What do you students know? Both Ethan and Kevin are my students. Their papers having some similarities is normal. It's not evidence of plagiarism. I criticized Ethan to broaden his horizons, not because I wanted him to leave the group. He left on his own. Now, he's making a big fuss about this, only making things worse. If he doesn't listen to my advice, I'll report this to Professor Davis and the university. I believe social media isn't a place to do whatever you want. He has to be responsible for his actions." Professor Thompson hung up, fuming. Everyone in the room looked at each other, then burst out laughing. After the laughter subsided, they became worried. Would he really report it to Professor Davis? David picked up his phone, growing increasingly anxious. The number of people insulting Kevin online is growing. At this rate, he'll be bombarded. If it were me, I wouldn't dare go to school. If the plagiarism is investigated, he'll be expelled, right? Ethan shook his head. Judging from Professor Thompson's attitude, he'll definitely protect Kevin. It won't be easy to get him expelled. Now, I'm worried that Kevin will use the mental breakdown again. If he does something drastic, the university will definitely try to cover it up for the sake of its reputation and student safety. Plus, with Professor Thompson protecting him, who knows if the plagiarism will ever be investigated? No way. There's no way people don't believe that the matter has grown this big. The school can't just ignore it. If they don't clarify, the school's reputation will be affected. Ethan wasn't so sure. Kevin's family background wasn't simple. If his parents intervened, plus the mental breakdown, the ones punished in the end might be those who posted exposing Kevin's plagiarism and insulting him. I'm not so sure. Nick, can you help me find the 2 people who posted exposing the trolls and analyzing this matter? Okay. Nick turned to go. Professor Thompson, angrily hanging up, turned around to see Kevin staring at him with a pitiful expression. Professor, is Ethan refusing to take down the posts? I know he hates me so much. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have taken his spot in the research group. Kevin said, sobbing. I'll go apologize to him. I'll beg him to take down the posts. As long as he doesn't affect your reputation, I'll do anything he wants. Kevin was about to rush out when Chloe stopped him. Professor hasn't said anything yet. Why are you in such a hurry? Professor Thompson, initially furious with Ethan's attitude, felt satisfied seeing Kevin's concern for his reputation. He thought he'd chosen the right person. Kevin is much more sensible than Ethan. That's right. You just can't measure up. Professor Thompson waved his hand dismissively. Ethan won't admit he had anything to do with this. Even if you beg him, it's useless. He's determined to make trouble for us. I think we should take this opportunity to settle things with him once and for all, so we don't have to drag this on. Kevin was startled. Settle things? What do you mean? Could it be investigating the matter online to teach Ethan a lesson? He gnashed his teeth. What should we do now? The whole campus is calling me names. I don't dare to go outside anymore. Why does Ethan hate me so much? He's just petty, said Quinn. Pay no attention to him. From now on, just stick with me. See who dares say anything to you. Chloe nodded in agreement. Quinn is right. Ethan said he was leaving the group, but then quickly joined Professor Davis's group. Why would he be willing to do that? He's just trying to divide us, trying to get attention so he can get back in the group. Don't worry. We won't let him have his way. We believe you're not that kind of person and couldn't have orchestrated this. Of course not, Kevin said quickly. Who would be stupid enough to spend money to hire people to insult themselves? Spreading rumors that I plagiarized not only hurts my reputation but is also an insult to Professor Thompson. I would never do that. Everyone looked at each other, believing Kevin's words. I'm going to the student affairs office. If Ethan refuses to take down the posts, the university has to deal with it. Professor Thompson stood up. Chloe, find out who's causing trouble online. We can't let this go. I have to teach them a lesson. Chloe followed Professor Thompson out. The others surrounded Kevin, comforting him. Phoebe approached, thinking it was actually a good thing. If the plagiarism isn't clarified, it will always be a ticking time bomb. We believe you, but that doesn't mean others do. Phoebe is right. I think we should investigate this thoroughly to show Ethan that you didn't plagiarize at all. See if he can still cause trouble then, Quinn said through gritted teeth. These 2 idiots. If the plagiarism could be investigated, I wouldn't have used a self-sacrifice strategy. Kevin sniffled. Thank you. Don't worry, as long as I'm here, I won't let anyone bully you, Quinn hastily comforted. Ethan's such a fool, he always likes to do useless things, thinking he's helping good people. Those guys are just waiting to see him make a fool of himself. When Kevin had left, Ethan called Nick back, no need to look anymore. I know who posted the articles. Ethan held up his phone. It's Sophia and Mia. They're at the student affairs office right now, calling me to go there. I'll tell you the specifics when I get back. I'll go with you, Nick said, grabbing his bag and following Ethan. Ethan checked his messages as he walked. A message from Mia yesterday, no class this morning? Nick glanced at his watch. We do, but it's still early. I'll go with you first. Ethan nodded. After Sophia found out who posted the article, she sent a message to Ethan. When he didn't reply, she sent a message to Mia. The two of them discussed it and then posted the article exposing the trolls. Nick took out his phone and saw the message from Sophia, saying thank you before looking to Ethan. Ethan, you're lucky. Both Sophia and Mia are better than your previous seniors. Not only do they not boss you around, but they always protect you. It's just a pity their major is a bit unpopular. Being in the lab with you these past few days, I've also become interested in acupuncture. If I had enough time, I'd also like to learn more. That's great. I'll have someone to keep me company when I'm up late studying. Dream on. Nick glared at Ethan before going upstairs. When Ethan arrived at the student affairs office, he saw not only Mia and Harry but also Sophia and Professor Davis. Ethan ran over. Professor, everyone, why are you all here? Don't be polite. I'm here because I believe that thesis was written by you and that it was actually plagiarized. Professor Davis pointed toward the door. Look over there. Ethan saw Professor Thompson talking to the director of the student affairs office. Seeing Ethan, Professor Thompson came out. Ethan, hurry up and explain to the director. Make it clear that Kevin didn't plagiarize you, nor did he insult you online. These things have nothing to do with Kevin. Ethan laughed. Professor Thompson was always blindly defending Kevin. Did he really think Ethan would listen to him? Whether Kevin plagiarized or not, I believe the school will investigate clearly. As for whether he insulted me online, I don't know and I don't care. Ethan looked coldly at Professor Thompson. You want me to go in and explain? You are making it really difficult. How can I explain something I am not clear on? I only hope that the school will conduct a fair investigation and clear my name. I believe Kevin also doesn't want to be involved in this. Professor Thompson didn't expect Ethan to insist on investigating. He said angrily, you must think that Kevin plagiarized your work? If the investigation results are not what you expected, then you will apologize to him in front of the whole school. Ethan shook his head. I have never said that he plagiarized, just like the posts accusing him of plagiarism were not posted by me. I just want to clarify the truth. Why are you hindering the investigation? As long as it is open and transparent, the truth will be revealed. Why is it so difficult? Ethan's words made everyone look at Professor Thompson. Could it be that he was afraid of something? Professor Davis coldly looked at him. The director of the student affairs office was afraid of the two professors arguing and quickly said, Professor Thompson, I think this matter should be handled by the school. I guarantee that no one will be wronged and that both parties will get a satisfactory answer. Professor Thompson glanced at everyone and sighed. Director Chen, it is not that I don't want to investigate, but Kevin was previously depressed because of the gossip. This time, he has been strongly attacked, and his mental state is very unstable. I am afraid that if the investigation is revealed, those who don't know the truth will think that Kevin plagiarized. At that time, he will do something stupid. Believe me, I understand my students. With Kevin's ability, he doesn't need to plagiarize from someone less capable than him. I have read the papers of both of them. Although the topics are similar, the way of unfolding and the ideas are completely different. I guarantee with my honor that he absolutely did not plagiarize. Humph. Guarantee with your honor? Professor Davis said angrily with red eyes, pulling Ethan behind her, are you worthy of being a professor? Both are your students. Why is Kevin's life important in your eyes, but Ethan's life and honor are worthless? Professor Davis's question made everyone angry. Director Chen frowned. Okay, don't argue. Let the school handle this matter. I guarantee with my honor that the investigation will be fair and will not favor anyone. Professor Thompson's face was green and white. Professor Davis's words made him very uncomfortable. In his eyes, Ethan was always strong, sensible, and not as weak as Kevin. Since he was a kid he had lived a hard life, in the country, and could only become so far thanks to nattering the professors up. They didn't know shame, and weren't able to break apart. If there is conflict between Kevin and Ethan, you need to give in. Surely a country bumpkin like him cannot bully Kevin? Even though he was a highly educated person, Professor Thompson never said these thoughts. He always thought that Ethan had no real ability, that he could not go far because of his poor background and limited vision. That's why he chose Kevin. Professor Thompson flicked his sleeves and looked contemptuously at Ethan. If you insist on investigating, then do as you please. I want to see what you get for making such a fuss. Hopefully, you won't regret your decision today. You should also know that not everyone will support you like before. Take care of yourself. Professor Thompson scornfully shook his head. Self-reliance, huh? Ethan coldly bit his lip. He thought that after experiencing the events of his past life, he would no longer be sad, but he underestimated the influence of Professor Thompson on him. He was once his mentor. He had always respected him, but now all that remained was resentment. Professor Davis was right. Why did he discriminate against his students like this, just because of my background? Did he think I had no vision and temperament? In the past life, I listened to him, endured, and compromised. What was the result? Only now did I understand that in Professor Thompson's eyes, I was just a tool that could be discarded at any time. He had never seen me as a person, let alone respect. A teacher like that was not needed either. In this life, I will definitely show him what it means to know people, what ability is, and what regret is. I will make him swallow every word he said, make him beg me. I say what I do, and I hope you might not be so high and mighty when the dust settles, Ethan said, taking a deep breath. I won't regret this. Hopefully, you won't either, Professor. That's highly unlikely, Professor Evans retorted, puffing out his chest. Director Chen, I hope the university will conduct a thorough investigation, clarify the facts, and clear Kevin's name. At the same time, I demand that those who slandered him online be severely punished. With that, he stormed off, leaving everyone else infuriated. It was the first time they'd ever seen Professor Evans act so arrogantly. Did he really think he wouldn't be proven wrong? Sophia pulled Mia forward. Director Chen, we're here to confess. Director Chen frowned. You two were behind the online posts? Sophia looked at Nick and Ethan. Not exactly. It all started when I discovered that Ethan's computer had screen monitoring software installed. Everyone, come inside to talk, Director Chen invited them. Half an hour later, after they'd explained the whole story and provided evidence, the group emerged from the office. Ethan approached Mia and Sophia. Mia, Sophia, thank you. Without you two, I don't know how long this would have dragged on. Plus, Kevin has a knack for twisting things to his advantage, but things are different now. The trolls' identities have been exposed. Both the plagiarism and slander benefit Kevin, and if he wants to prove his innocence, the only way is to have this matter thoroughly investigated. No matter what Kevin has prepared, we have evidence of the trolls and the screen monitoring software, plus my original thesis draft. Even if we can't prove Kevin guilty, we can at least prove my innocence. No one will bring this up again. Mia looked at Ethan, her expression unchanged. It wasn't entirely for you. I just didn't want anyone in our group to be tainted by this. Since this has appeared online, it needs to be thoroughly investigated. Ethan believed her. I know. I knew you wouldn't let this affect the group, let alone Professor and the others. Then you don't need to thank me. I was just helping Mia. Besides, it was Nick who asked me to investigate yesterday. It was just a small matter. Don't worry about it, Sophia said, waving her hand dismissively. Sophia's words stunned Nick. Before he could react, Harry pulled the two girls away. Okay, don't dwell on this anymore. Director Chen is very fair and we have our evidence. I believe this will be clarified soon. Don't be so polite with each other. We're a team now, sharing honor and disgrace. We have to face these things together. Ethan, don't you have class? Come to the lab with me. Nick waved goodbye to the two girls. I can't go. I have class soon. Everyone bid farewell, and Mia went with Ethan and Harry back to the lab. Sophia turned around and chased after Nick. Not far away, Chloe had found the people who posted the articles hiring the trolls and was leading them to the student affairs office. As she entered the building, she turned her head to see Sophia and Nick laughing and talking as they walked toward the lecture building, while Ethan was walking with Mia and Harry toward the lab building. Seeing Nick's radiant smile, Chloe frowned. How disgusting. She's confessed to me and she's already trying to hook up with someone else. What a shameless guy. As for Mia and Ethan, one was a failure and the other was a country bumpkin who needed to rely on her to have a place in the group. Yet, they dared to challenge her group. They were truly overestimating themselves. Chloe turned around and shoved the group of people up the stairs. Just as she pushed open the door to Director Chen's office, Kevin was sitting in the lab, his heart burning with anxiety. He had just sent Phoebe and Quinn away, and was calling the trolls he had hired, instructing them, changing his voice. He didn't use his regular phone. Now, all he needed was for them to shut their mouths and not admit to receiving money for their work. The plagiarism wouldn't be investigated anyway, and he had already deleted all traces from his computer. It was just that those trolls were too greedy, taking nearly $50,000. He would get that money back from Ethan sooner or later. In the afternoon, Mia received a call from the Student Affairs office. Director Chen said that there were investigation results, but they probably wouldn't involve Kevin. The plagiarism was being dropped. Ethan had anticipated this result. Kevin wasn't stupid enough to leave evidence. If he were, he wouldn't have been able to steal so much research material from Ethan in his past life without being discovered. The software monitoring might only reveal the hacker, but not who hired the hacker. It's okay, Ethan said, shaking his head. I just need to make the fact that my computer was hacked and my thesis was leaked known to everyone. That's enough. Mia nodded. Did you already know this was going to happen? No. He makes such a fuss in order to prevent people from taking advantage of this to attack him later. Why bother? I'm already a failure. That's right, Ethan nodded. If I want to join Professor Davis's group, I have to be clean and not bring unnecessary trouble. Besides, I'm doing this to make Kevin uncomfortable. Even if we can't prove he plagiarized, as long as we reveal that my computer was monitored, he won't be able to escape suspicion. Even though this suspicion doesn't have any effect now, if something similar happens in the future, everyone will remember today's events. Mia looked deeply into Ethan's eyes. How do you know something similar will happen? Haven't you heard the saying, a horse knows the old road? Ethan smiled, unbothered by the investigation results, and turned to do other things. Looking at Ethan's back, Mia, who was always cold, smiled slightly. The boy was getting smarter and more interesting. Ethan recalled what he knew about Kevin in his past life. He had no real ability and only knew how to rely on others to climb up. He always lingered around girls, using their pity to achieve his goals. In his past life, Ethan had become Kevin's stepping stone, helping him approach people of higher status. Now, Ethan was curious about what Kevin would do next. The posts causing a stir on the university forum had been deleted. The university issued a notice, dealing with the students who had posted the articles. According to their statements, the purpose of posting the articles slandering Kevin's plagiarism was only to gain likes. But this was quickly squashed by Professor Evans. Then, a video of Ethan arguing with Phoebe in front of the dorm was posted online. The people who posted the information saw an opportunity to become famous, but for some reason, the post was taken down as soon as it went up. Both events were very logical, except that there was nothing of value for them to get if they said that they were doing that for likes and views only, but those people refused to admit to receiving money to post the articles. The university couldn't find any more evidence. Not long after the notice was posted, the university publicly announced that Ethan's computer had been infected with a virus, and his thesis had been stolen. The initial conclusion was that it was caused by a hacker. The target of the hacker was all students in Professor Evans's group. Traces of attacks were also found on the computers of Chloe and others, but because Ethan's computer had a weaker security system, it was successfully hacked. Professor Evans also confirmed that although the topics of the two people's theses had similarities, there was no sign of plagiarism. In other words, although Ethan's thesis was stolen, it had nothing to do with Kevin. Finally, the incident of Kevin's plagiarism was concluded as a rumor. Ethan looked at the notice on the university network, the corner of his mouth raised in a faint smile. That night, Ethan returned to the dorm. While the university's notice was still hot, he posted his original thesis draft on the forum. He stayed up all night to revise and complete the thesis. The next morning, he sent the thesis to the most prestigious medical journal in the country. After doing everything, he collapsed and slept until the afternoon, when Nick brought food back. "Ethan, this is crazy. Have you seen the university forum?" Ethan yawned. "What's going on now?" "It's still about you. After you posted your thesis draft, many people demanded that Kevin also post his draft. They said this was too coincidental. Why was your computer hacked at the right time, and the right thesis was lost? Why are so many people participating in the second round? Why is Kevin's thesis so similar to yours? Many people are questioning the fairness of Professor Evans's selection of members. They said if the plagiarism was caused by trolls, why was the victim you? The one who left the group was also you, while Kevin was fine. He still gets to stay in Professor Evans's group. And should the entire group apologize to you?" Ethan went to wash his face to sober up. He didn't need their apologies. What he wanted, they couldn't afford to pay. "I didn't expect this to drag on for so long. It seems I don't have to wait until later. The current situation is enough to make Kevin miserable. I'm curious about what he will do to regain everyone's trust." At the same time, Professor Evans was frowning as he read the posts online. "I still don't believe Kevin plagiarized. This must be a coincidence. Although Ethan's thesis is more thorough and complete." Chloe hesitated. "Professor, Ethan can't come back to the group again. Kevin is our new member. How should we handle this?" "It has to depend on you." Professor Evans had never been cornered like this, especially when everyone was asking Kevin to post his thesis draft and apologize to Ethan. He was a person who valued honor and reputation, and this made him hate Ethan even more. "You should apologize to Ethan on behalf of the group. Tell him that if he wants to come back, we always welcome him. Professor, don't think that Ethan's ultimate goal is to come back to the group. But if he comes back..." Chloe understood what Professor was saying, that if Ethan came back he would be a thorn in his side and make it hard to put Kevin in a good position. "I understand, Professor. As for Kevin, tell him to revise his thesis draft. It must be submitted to me before tomorrow. I will publish it in the most prestigious medical journal in the country. Once it is published, Kevin's reputation will surpass Ethan's." Kevin read the criticisms of himself on the internet. He didn't know what to do. In fact, although he had revised the thesis, half a month had passed and he no longer remembered the content. Things that didn't belong to him could never truly be his. Ethan posting the thesis at this time, wasn't it forcing him to compete with him? This was too cruel. Kevin knew that he couldn't compare to Ethan. After thinking for a while, he came up with an idea. He brought his thesis to find Quinn. "Elder sister, I have something to ask for your help." His voice was soft and pitiful. Quinn looked at Kevin. "What's the matter?" "Just speak, no need to be so polite." Surely it was about plagiarism, Quinn thought. The virus-killing software on Ethan's computer was installed by her. There was no reason why it would be hacked so easily. This must have been done by someone in the group. Moreover, she knew Ethan's capabilities. "I want you to help me look at my thesis." Kevin gave the draft to Quinn, ignoring her searching gaze. Everyone on the internet wants me to post my draft. But this thesis was written before I joined the group. The content is still very basic, and I'm not very satisfied. Now that I'm a member of the group, posting something so basic like that will make Professor Evans lose face. I don't want to be compared to Ethan, haha. Quinn laughed secretly, but she couldn't help but admit that Kevin was right. Professor Evans valued his reputation very much. If Kevin's thesis was compared to Ethan's, Professor Evans would lose even more face. Moreover, she still owed Kevin a large sum of money. Whether she wanted to or not, she had to help. How interesting, Quinn smiled. It's just a small matter. You send me the file, and I'll help you revise it. Kevin was overjoyed. Thank you, elder sister. Have you been wanting to buy any study materials lately? I'll buy them for you as a thank you. Quinn felt like a pie was falling from the sky. She coughed slightly, pretending to be serious. Actually, I've been wanting to buy a set of materials, but they're a bit expensive. I'll just try to find a way to buy them myself. It doesn't matter if they're expensive, Kevin said, winking at Quinn. I'll buy them for you. Quinn felt like she was walking on clouds. Kevin was really generous, unlike that Ethan, who would return her money. Truly ungenerous. She smirked, as if she had figured out a new way to make money. When Chloe relayed Professor Evans's words to Kevin, he had already received the draft that had been revised by Quinn. I know, Sister Chloe. I'll send the thesis to Professor later. Ethan knew nothing about these things. Until one day, he received a call from the editorial office of the medical journal, Hi. They said that his thesis had been approved and would be published in the journal. The royalty fee would be transferred online. Thinking about how his thesis would not only stop Kevin from reversing the situation but also bring in a considerable amount of money, Ethan grinned widely. If there were no changes, the royalty fee would be at least 5,000 yuan. After registering his information, Ethan wore his lab coat to the lab. The competition was about to begin, and the group was focusing all of their efforts. The plagiarism incident had come to an end. Although Kevin hadn't paid the price, Ethan was satisfied with the result. But someone wasn't satisfied. That was Professor Evans. What? A similar thesis has already been published. Not only is my student's thesis suspected of plagiarism, but the content and ideas are not as good as the other one. Professor Evans had never been doubted like this. He stood up abruptly, his hand holding the phone trembling. Editor Lee, we've known each other for a long time. Don't play these tricks. Although the thesis was written by my student, I guarantee that he didn't plagiarize anyone. Professor Evans took a deep breath. The person on the other end of the line sneered. How coincidental. I heard that the person who submitted the article is also a senior student of yours. I think the name of the supervisor is Danielle Chen. The name's familiar. Could it be that you guys are old acquaintances? Professor Evans slumped back into his chair, his mouth agape, unable to speak, as if someone had slapped him hard in the face. He thought that as long as he had his backing, as long as Kevin's thesis was published, he could trample on Ethan. But he didn't expect Ethan, a poor country bumpkin, to be able to retaliate against him in this way. It must have been by Danielle Chen. Was she still resentful of him? Why did she have to wait for years later, and wasn't it all resolved? The competitiveness in Professor Evans burst out. He hadn't felt this way in a long time. Editor Lee, well, if you can't publish it, then forget it. But may I ask for the issue number? I want to read that thesis. I'll send it to you later. Editor Lee hung up. 3 days later, Professor Evans found Ethan's thesis in the journal. The content and research methods were very professional. It wasn't what he expected Ethan to be able to write. This made him even more convinced that the thesis had been revised by Danielle Chen as a despicable means of insulting him. Professor Evans called Chloe over. Don't delay the apology to Ethan. We've lost this time. Did Editor Lee refuse to publish it? Or should I go home and think of other ways? Professor Evans shook his head. It's useless. Ethan's article has already been published. Even if someone agrees to publish Kevin's article, it's meaningless now. How could that be? Chloe asked in surprise. Where did Ethan get the ability to publish the article? Does he know anyone in Shanghai? I'm sure he doesn't even know the number of the editorial office. Professor Evans smiled bitterly. You think we lost to Ethan? You're wrong. We lost to his advisor. Professor Evans sneered. Danielle Chen is always competitive and wants to win against me. It is all normal. My problem with him is just an excuse for her. It's a pity for Ethan. He chose a dying field, thinking he had found a treasure. He's just a pawn being used. By the time he's thrown away, he probably won't even graduate. As his former teacher, I feel sorry for him. Chloe supported Professor Evans. Don't be sad, Professor. He chose that path himself. We treated him well already. Even if he doesn't graduate, it's his own doing. You're right. Even if I pity him, I can't help him anymore. Professor Evans gestured for Chloe to leave. Kevin is a good student. Take good care of him. And do what I told you to do, hurry up and get out, then go deal with it. Professor Evans had once doubted Kevin's abilities, but after seeing the revised thesis draft, he felt that Kevin was no less capable than Phoebe and Quinn. As long as he was given more guidance, he would definitely achieve great things in the future. Chloe left the office and called the others to discuss apologizing to Ethan. Professor wants us to apologize sincerely, hoping he'll come back. If he doesn't, then we've done our part. Whatever he does later won't be our responsibility anymore. Understood? Everyone nodded, and none opposed. It seemed they all hoped Ethan would return to the group. Kevin stood to the side, his face pale and his eyes red, pulling on Chloe's sleeve. Sister Chloe, my thesis wasn't published? Did Professor abandon me? No, that's not it. Chloe recalled Professor Evans's words, feeling both pity and guilt for Kevin. They originally wanted Kevin to trample on Ethan, but who knew Ethan would be so lucky? Professor said this isn't your fault. It's due to the personal feud between him and Professor Chen that you have to bow down to Ethan. He feels very sorry. Kevin was secretly pleased, a trace of joy rising in his heart. Don't say that, sister. This has nothing to do with Professor. It's just my bad luck. Professor has thought so highly of me. That's the greatest fortune for me. I'm very proud to be in the group. It's just apologizing to Ethan. I'm willing to do anything to reassure everyone. Kevin's understanding made Chloe even happier. It seemed that apologizing to Ethan wouldn't be so difficult after all. After Chloe turned away, Kevin sneered. How easy to fool. Thank you, Ethan. Thanks to you, I've quickly gained Professor Evans's trust and integrated into the group. You've given me such a big gift. I'll definitely repay you generously. Kevin left the lab and took another phone out of his pocket. These days, Ethan was very busy. He almost had no time to stay in the dorm. He spent most of his time in the lab, preparing for the competition, or going to the hospital to practice with Professor Davis. Until 11 p.m., when Ethan had just left the clinic, did he see Chloe's public apology letter, posted online on behalf of the entire group. He stared at the phone screen, his eyes welling up, almost bursting into laughter. He had waited too long for this apology letter, both in his past life and in this one. Finally, he saw them bowing their heads, but he didn't need it, especially the line about always welcoming him back to the group, which made him feel disgusted. Below the post, people started betting. I bet a dime that Ethan will definitely come back to Professor Evans's group. A dime? This is too obvious, what are you guys doing? He did all of this just to come back to Professor Evans's group. That's the top research group in our school. You're wrong. It's not just the top group in our school, but in the entire country, and even internationally renowned. He wouldn't be stupid enough not to come back. Most comments thought that Ethan would return to Professor Evans's group. Only one comment was different and bold. I bet he won't come back. If I lose, I'll give each commenter $10,000. At this time, Chloe spoke up, using an anonymous account, but Ethan still recognized her. Since our friend above has said so, then I'll bet with you. If Ethan comes back to Professor Evans's group, I'll give each commenter $10,000. To prove my sincerity, I'll publicly show my account balance. The bold friend replied, okay, I'll take a screenshot of my account balance. Seeing that these two were big spenders, everyone chimed in. The comments below were full of flattery, making Ethan, who was feeling sad, laugh. Mia came out and saw Ethan smiling foolishly at his phone and asked, instead of resting, you're smiling foolishly? What is it? Professor Evans's group apologized to me and said I can come back. Ethan showed Mia his phone. So, do you want to go back? Mia didn't understand Ethan's intention. Ethan laughed and shook his head. Of course not. I'm part of your group now. Wouldn't going back be like betraying you? You're part of your group. These words struck Mia in the heart, causing her to subconsciously raise her hand to touch her chest. The feeling was strange. The corners of Mia's mouth slightly lifted. You better do what you say. Don't forget we still have to participate in the competition. I remember. Ethan bowed his head to look at his phone and suddenly looked up at Mia. Sister, don't you think I'm happy that they're letting me come back to the group? Mia avoided Ethan's eyes. No. Was there really ever such a no in what you said and did? Ethan gave a cold snort, stood up, and walked in front of Mia. Who do you think I am? I'm not the type of person to turn their back on others. Mia put on a serious face. Okay, I was wrong. I apologize. Ethan was startled. He didn't expect Mia to apologize so easily, as if it was normal and nothing difficult to say. But thinking of Chloe and the others, he had to wait too long to hear them apologize, both in his past life and in this one. Why, what's wrong? Mia had little contact with boys and didn't understand why Ethan's eyes were red just because she apologized. I didn't mean that. Don't be sad. Ethan shook his head. I'm just happy. Happy to be in your group, happy to have met you. You're a responsible person, a good person. Mia, the one who had just received a good person card, was puzzled. Just because I apologized, you think I'm a good person? Of course, Ethan nodded seriously. A small matter can show a person's character. You wouldn't understand. To me, you're a good person, a responsible person. Just because Ethan was so lenient and endured the other seniors again and again, he was labeled as unruly. It was for the good of the group. He had to be there whenever and however they wanted. He even endured it until he was used to the point where he was fully used, fully exhausted. He only woke up when he was completely sucked dry. Now that he will resist even a little bit would just be for him to be marked as out of line and ungrateful. Yielding once would lead to a second and third time. Today it was just a small matter, but tomorrow it could be a big one. Mia smiled. All right, whatever you say. Oh right, sister, let me tell you something funny. I saw someone betting with Chloe on the forum. Mia narrowed her eyes. You were happy just now because of this? Of course. I don't care about them apologizing or letting me come back. Ethan raised his head high, proud as a peacock. Mia burst out laughing. What a spirited one. Ethan bowed his head and fiddled with his phone. The one betting with that friend that I'll come back to Professor Evans's group is actually Chloe, using a fake account. I don't know where she got the confidence to think I'd come back. Watch me give her a lesson so she can be less arrogant. Recently, due to frequent contact, Ethan and Mia had also become closer. He was no longer as reserved as before, daring to show his true feelings. This is truly a gem. And it almost was abused and mistreated by those in Professor Evans's group to the point where most of the light had faded from him, but thankfully still there. Seeing Ethan become more and more full of life, Mia felt an itch to take him home, not paying attention to Mia's gaze. Ethan was answering Chloe's comment. Chloe and others, I will accept your apology. However, I have left Professor Evans' group and have no intention of returning. He was uploading this screenshot to his personal page and he was also tagging the two people who were betting. Even though he didn't know who the anonymous friend was, Ethan still wanted to help him. Although Chloe wasn't short of money, thinking about how he could swindle money from her, he felt very happy. Let's go, it's late. I'll take you back. Mia took Ethan's bag and found it quite heavy. Ethan was a little embarrassed. I can carry it myself. Thank you, sister. Mia, when she wasn't smiling, looked quite stern. She grabbed the bag and walked ahead. Ethan didn't dare to argue and obediently followed behind. It's too late to go back to school. He had to go to Harry's dorm at the hospital. As he approached the main dorm, Ethan was ready to let go of Mia and take it on his own, and run up the stairs. Sister, goodbye. Mia found it a little funny. Why was he like a timid rabbit? So adorable. Waiting until the lights on the upper floor turned on, Mia turned around and left. As she walked, she took out her phone and opened her fake account. As soon as she looked at it, she saw Ethan's comment. She smiled and replied below his post, "Brave young man, a bright future." Chloe sat in front of the computer and saw Ethan's post, angrily slamming her fist. How could this be? Did he really not come back? How could there be such a foolish person? Could it be that he did all of this just to prove his innocence and that we misunderstood him? Ethan, don't you miss the time in the group at all? Chloe's phone rang nonstop. It was Quinn calling her, but she didn't answer. Soon after, 4 missed calls appeared on Sophie's, Phoebe's, and Wendy's phones. Everyone was calling her. Surely they didn't expect Ethan to really not come back. Chloe took a deep breath and opened a group video call. Everyone quickly joined, including Kevin. Chloe, did we misunderstand him this time? The first person to speak was Quinn. She had always been worried that Ethan would reveal that she owed him money and didn't want to completely fall out with him. Wendy yawned. I think he must have found a new place to stay, so he dared to do that. Otherwise, how would he dare not come back? Phoebe said softly, perhaps he just wanted to clarify the plagiarism and slander. It's not as complicated as we thought. Her feelings for Ethan were very complicated. She hated him for not helping her, but also remembered the good things he had done for her. Sophie sighed. I think Senior Wendy is right. He must have found a new backing, so he dared to publicly challenge us like this. Sister Chloe. Kevin listened to them talk, secretly shaking his head. Were these stupid girls still not understanding Ethan's intention? But honestly speaking, he also didn't expect a country bumpkin like Ethan to have the guts not to come back to Professor Evans's group. Could it be because he was instigated by Danielle Chen, thinking that he could go against them? He really was so narrow-minded, a peasant who didn't know how to think big and had no vision. What was the point of studying such a dying major? By then, it wouldn't matter that they had a lot of good points, he wouldn't even know if he could stay in Shanghai. Let alone enter a national-level research center. Did he want to go back to his hometown to be a doctor? In that case, it would be better, at least there would be no one competing with him. He had embarrassed him so much this time. He wouldn't easily let it go. He had prepared a big gift for him, just waiting for the right time to give it. Kevin looked at everyone on the screen. Sister Chloe, elder sisters, don't be angry. This matter was caused by me. I will take responsibility. I didn't expect Brother Ethan to do this. I thought if he came back, I would give in to him and not compete with him anymore. You don't have to give in to him. Chloe frowned. It's good that he didn't come back. We've already apologized. This matter ends here. No one is allowed to mention it again. Whatever his reason for doing this, he has already achieved his goal. He doesn't have the right to cause trouble for our group anymore. The video call ended. Chloe angrily threw her phone to the floor. She had intended to ask everyone to persuade Ethan to come back, not because she sincerely wanted him back, but because she didn't want to lose the bet. She knew that the person betting with her online was Mia. She could lose to anyone, but not to Mia. But now it seemed she had to pay the money. The payment would not hurt her as much as the fact of loss did. Chloe smashed another cup. Ethan, you're so stubborn. I want to see how long you can be stubborn for. How serious will Mia be with you? Ethan's post caused an uproar on the university forum. Many people were secretly betting, most of them thinking that Ethan was making such a fuss to be able to come back to Professor Evans's group. But they didn't know that Ethan only wanted to get justice for himself. Early in the morning, the education department detained some students who participated in the betting. Ethan hadn't even had time to wash his face when he received a call from David, his tone seeming excited. Ethan, did you know that after you posted that you wouldn't be coming back to Professor Evans's group, the comment section went crazy? I heard that many people were betting. The education department has detained some students already. Is that right, and do they still get their money? When Ethan was done listening, he felt a bit sorry that he wasn't able to swindle money from Chloe. When he got back to school, he was still feeling unhappy, but as soon as he stepped into the dorm, David told him some good news. Do you guys know that the two people who bet yesterday kept their promise? Hundreds of thousands of dollars given away. Ethan, you should know this. Hey, Chad asked, isn't administration intervening? Why would administration interfere? They openly said they would give money. If they were to back their words at this point, how would they even show their face? People would literally be chewing them out for that. Chad harumphed, even if the school administration interferes, it won't be able to stop students from scolding you. This is a matter of integrity, and I heard that the account that was used to give out the money. That wasn't Senior Chloe's main account, right? That's her fake nick that everyone suspects is hers. If she does not give out the money, she would literally lose all her face, and there is no way that can happen to her. She is so highly regarded. Ethan felt better. What he wanted done was happening. People were paying up, and it seemed like no one was ever going to support the losing party, that party being the group of people who were so willing to cast someone with no resources away at a dime. Well, there is no helping that, it is her name. The guy in the other bed, Mike, agreed to the consensus of the entire room. Hearing this, Ethan's mood improved greatly. It felt so good to take revenge. It was just a pity that he didn't get to witness the angry expression on Chloe's face. She was someone who always won and couldn't accept failure. But little did she know that this was only the beginning. You guys are so happy, did you also participate in the betting? Ethan asked jokingly, but the other three people in the room all changed their expressions. Don't be angry, we just commented and scolded Chloe a few times. Who knew we would get $10,000? Ethan burst out laughing. 3 people, $10,000 each, huh? The 3 people nodded. If you're not happy, we'll return it. We're not doing it for the money. Why return it? Let's split it evenly. I'll freeload on you tonight. I'm not angry. I'm more than happy to help you guys swindle money from Chloe. David patted his chest. No problem. Not just tonight, but for the whole month. Just say what you want to eat. The other 2 people also chimed in. The 4 people laughed and talked happily, going to the cafeteria together. Ethan, how is your group's project coming along? There are only 5 days left until the competition. I'm so worried. Chad was really worried. My girlfriend said that if we win this time, we can stay in Shanghai. If not, then we have to have a long-distance relationship. In his past life, their project had won first place. Wu had held the certificate and gone to apply for a job, but had been suppressed by Quinn, who had won the special award. Although both of them were accepted for internships afterward, Wu was still eliminated when it came to official recruitment. Not long after, Wu left Shanghai. David was depressed for a long time and even didn't take the graduate school entrance exam. Wu was a very capable person who wanted to stay in Shanghai. She could only rely on her ability. Her ability was not inferior to Quinn. There were 2 reasons why she wasn't officially recruited. First, her achievements in the school's competitions were worse than Quinn's. Second, it was because of Kevin. After the internship, Quinn had gone home. Kevin. At one point, Kevin's mother was the vice president of a senior research institute. She always wanted Kevin to follow in her footsteps and become a leader in the field of cell medical research. But Kevin wasn't as outstanding as his mother thought. He was afraid of disappointing his mother, so he used every means to climb up. Quinn was the guarantee for his career. After graduation, it was not only Quinn but also Sophie and Wendy. All of whom were later helped to enter the research institute because of Kevin. In his past life, Ethan had assumed that Chloe had helped him enter the research institute, but it was also because of Kevin's arrangements. Although everyone thought they had joined the top research group in the country, each person had to pay a heavy price, and Ethan was the one who had to pay with his life. Ethan, what's wrong? David looked at Ethan with concern. The competition is coming up soon, are you nervous? Ethan nodded. Yeah, a little nervous. You mentioned my girlfriend and reminded me that our senior Sophia is about to start her internship, right? Yes, she studies hard. She might be able to start her internship early next semester. David sighed. She's already found a few hospitals, but she still wants to enter the research institute, but it's not easy to get in, especially the Advanced Research Center in Shanghai. Nick looked up. It's a pity that my family doesn't know anyone in the research institute. Otherwise, I could have asked for help. Nick's words reminded Ethan. How about I ask Professor Davis? I remember Sophia's professional skills are very good. If we give her a chance, who knows, she might surpass Quinn. In his past life, Quinn had just a party-loving spendthrift, and the people had no respect or liking for her in the school, that was, until Quinn had gotten her chance with her family in the higher institute where she used the best tools and used stolen ideas and materials of the Advanced Research Institute to establish herself in the medical field. There's no reason why Sophia can't do the same. Ethan decided to try. Although everything had changed since his rebirth, Kevin's goal remained the same. They would eventually become enemies. Kevin's group had 6 people, while Professor Davis's group only had 3. Ethan needed more talented people to help him, but he didn't say anything yet. The lack of a successful project left David down. 5 days passed quickly. Ethan was running back and forth between the hospital and the school almost every day. Professor Davis told him to focus on the competition at school these days. Ethan decided to stay at school tonight. Anyway, tomorrow was the day of the competition. In November in the north, it was already dark at 6 p.m. Ethan pulled up his coat and turned into the alley next to the hospital. This was a shortcut to the dorm. As soon as he entered the alley, Ethan noticed that the street lights were broken. After walking a few steps, he felt a little scared and turned back, intending to take another road. Just then, he bumped into someone. Ethan screamed and then felt a sharp pain in the back of his head before losing consciousness. When he woke up, Ethan found himself tied up on the floor of an old warehouse. Not far away, 5 men were sitting around a table eating and drinking, paying no attention to him. Ethan's mind was buzzing. He didn't understand why he had been kidnapped. It must be revenge. In his 2 lifetimes, the only person Ethan had offended was Kevin. He had only found someone to harm Nick just because Nick had unintentionally said Chloe's name. Not to mention Ethan, the person he hated to the bone. I want to go to the bathroom. Hearing Ethan's voice, a man with a greasy mouth came over and cursed. Damn it, so much trouble. He bent down and untied Ethan before pulling him to the back of the warehouse. The back was very dark and full of things. Taking advantage of the greasy mouth man's inattention, Ethan felt for the inner pocket of his coat. There was a set of acupuncture needles that Professor Davis had given him this afternoon as a reward for completing the first stage of study. They were too confident and didn't search him. Ethan breathed a sigh of relief, secretly holding 2 acupuncture needles in his hand. Hurry up. Don't make me urge you. Ethan stepped inside and closed the door. The ropes on his hands and feet hadn't been untied, so the door didn't close properly. Taking advantage of the greasy mouth man's back being turned to him, Ethan pushed the door open hard, quickly stabbing the 2 acupuncture needles into the man's sleeping acupoint. Ah! The greasy mouth man cried out in pain, but before he could react, he fell to the ground. Ethan lunged forward, straddling him, and continued to stab him with a few more acupuncture needles. In just a few seconds, the greasy mouth man lost consciousness. Ethan panted, his whole body weak. It seemed that his acupuncture lessons had been useful. The first practice was a complete success. Ethan didn't dare to hesitate, quickly untying the ropes before taking the man's phone to call the police. After doing everything, Ethan put the phone in his pocket, locked the greasy mouth man in the bathroom, and went to find the back door of the warehouse. The warehouse was quite large. Ethan walked for a long time but still couldn't find the exit. Instead, he heard footsteps coming from the front. At first, there was only one person, but then there were many people, accompanied by shouting and cursing. Ethan didn't dare to run around and hid in a closet. Living 2 lives, he cherished his life very much. He looked at his watch. It was already 11 p.m. Outside, someone shouted, "Where's Lao San's phone?" It must have been taken by that brat. Call him. I don't believe he can run far. Ethan quickly put his phone on silent mode. Luckily, he hadn't run far. But this joy didn't last long. The closet door was kicked open. Found him, boss. Ethan was dragged out of the closet. I'll beat you to death. The greasy mouth man lunged at Ethan, slapping him. Ethan's head was buzzing, and he couldn't hear anything. He only knew that he was being dragged to the front of the warehouse. The men rushed forward, punching and kicking him. Ethan resisted but was weaker. Ethan felt a sharp pain in his stomach and fell backward. He hit his head against the wall and lost consciousness. At the same time, police sirens rang out from afar. Once again, Ethan woke up to find himself lying on a hospital bed, with Professor Davis and Mia in front of him. Ethan tried to sit up, but Professor Davis stopped him. Lie down and don't move. The doctor said you have a mild concussion. You can't get out of bed yet. Ethan smiled and shook his head. I'm fine, Professor. Besides, today I used your acupuncture needles. The effect was very good. He fell to the ground with just one stab. Professor Davis, who was always cold, also had red eyes. You're still thinking about that at this time? Listen to me, get some sleep. Let Mia take care of the rest. She has already investigated their background and knows what to say to the police. Why would Mia investigate them? Why would they come to the hospital? Who told them? Ethan had many questions to ask, but looking at Professor Davis's worried eyes, he had to close his eyes. Ethan's sleep was restless, and nightmares startled him awake. The sharp pain in the back of his hand reminded him that he was getting in for. Mia came over. Nightmares? Ethan took a few deep breaths. What time is it? Why haven't you gone home yet? How could I go home with you like this? Mia said a little angrily, handing Ethan a glass of water. Drink water and go back to sleep. Her tone was a little harsh. Ethan didn't understand why she was suddenly angry and carefully apologized. Sorry, I've troubled you too. Mia softened her tone. You're a member of our group. We have a responsibility to protect you. Why say you're a bother? Besides, you have a competition tomorrow. Nothing can happen at this time. Mia turned off the big light, leaving only a night light. I said things a little harshly just now, not because I found you annoying, but because you're too polite with us. Mia was a little embarrassed. She wasn't a warm person and treated everyone coldly, only showing different expressions when facing Ethan. Ethan, you have to remember that we're a team. Helping and taking care of each other is normal. Don't think of it as a burden. Tell me about anything in the future. I don't want your personal matters to affect the group's plan. She said too seriously, making Ethan believe her immediately, but he was still very touched. Mia was different from Chloe. They had each had a group and they each were leaders who treated their members differently. There was the woman that would steal the spotlight by using her to trample down others. Then there was the woman standing before him, who was concerned with his well-being and with his future, a kind and caring type. "I'll definitely not let you down." Ethan nodded. "I know, sister. Thank you." Ethan lay down and slept soundly until morning. When he woke up, the four had been removed, and Mia was sleeping on a long chair nearby. Ethan quietly got out of bed and approached Mia. Seeing the dark circles under her eyes, he guessed that she had been up all night. A warm feeling grew in his heart. Ethan carefully covered Mia with a blanket before turning around and going out. He saw a female police officer waiting on a long chair in front of the door. "You're awake? Are you still feeling uncomfortable anywhere?" The female police officer stood up and looked at him up and down. Ethan shook his head. "No, I'm feeling good. The swelling on my face has also subsided." The female police officer asked and recorded at the same time. "If you feel uncomfortable anywhere these days, you have to go to the hospital immediately and report it to us, got it?" Ethan nodded. "Got it. Thank you, officer. This little boy has a sweet mouth." The female police officer smiled. "Your friend is inside, right? Ask her to come with you to the police station to give a statement later." "Yes, but I have a request. I have a very important competition at 9 a.m. today. Can I go to the station to give a statement after the competition is over?" The female police officer was a little surprised. She didn't expect Ethan to still be thinking about the competition after experiencing such a terrifying thing. "Okay, you can go to the competition. I'll send someone to wait for you at the school." After sending off the female police officer, Ethan turned back to see Mia just opening the door and coming out. Mia was a little flustered, but when she saw Ethan, she calmed down. "You're awake? When did you wake up?" Ethan smiled. "Just woke up. Seeing you sleeping so soundly, I couldn't bear to wake you up. You were exhausted from taking care of me last night, right? I saw you have dark circles under your eyes." "Thank you. Let's go get coffee for her, okay? It's not too far away from the hospital, and if we just walked, we could be there in like 5 minutes." This was as fast of a pace as one could do on a Saturday. He had a bright idea of getting something for her, so he had his thought, "We can just stop along the way and grab a bite and we will go to the precinct immediately from there." It all aligned with what the woman in charge had told him. He was not in the wrong. There were policemen stationed near the school, right? He asked, knowing the fact that he was not completely wrong. This kind of thought, this sort of need to know, a need to feel safe, just in case. "Why do you not feel safe being here?" "Well, now you know that with me, you are safe and well, and just remember that this is what is going to be all right." He turned around to the window to look at the skyline, and then they all looked in that way for no certain reason whatsoever. "Let's go," she said, and he held her arm softly. Oh, his arm was so incredibly weak, they had hurt him bad. "Then let's hurry up and do our thing and then we can be done and over the hill. That does sound nice, right?" He seemed hopeful to some extent, but she only looked at him and laughed. The smile on her was one that let him know that this moment was one that was not ever that he was going to lose. All three, Quinn would assist and support by helping them get into the research institution as long as she benefited. It was something that Ethan thought Chloe had helped him with during that time frame to enter the institute, but it turned out that Kevin had arranged it too. Although everyone thought that they had joined the top research group in the country, each person had to pay a heavy price for it, and Ethan was the one who had to pay with his life. "Ethan, what's wrong?" David looked at Ethan with concern. "The competition is coming up soon, are you nervous?" Ethan nodded. "Yeah, a little nervous. You mentioned my girlfriend and reminded me that our senior Sophia is about to start her internship, right?" "Yes, she studies hard. She might be able to start her internship early next semester." David sighed. "She's already found a few hospitals, but she still wants to enter the research institute, but it's not easy to get in, especially the Advanced Research Center in Shanghai." Nick looked up. It's a pity that my family doesn't know anyone in the research institute. Otherwise, I could have asked for help. Nick's words reminded Ethan. How about I ask Professor Davis? I remember Sophia's professional skills are very good. If we give her a chance, who knows, she might surpass Quinn. In his past life, Quinn had just a party-loving spendthrift, and the people had no respect or liking for her in the school, that was, until Quinn had gotten her chance with her family in the higher institute where she used the best tools and used stolen ideas and materials of the Advanced Research Institute to establish herself in the medical field. There's no reason why Sophia can't do the same. Ethan decided to try. Although everything had changed since his rebirth, Kevin's goal remained the same. They would eventually become enemies. Kevin's group had 6 people, while Professor Davis's group only had 3. Ethan needed more talented people to help him, but he didn't say anything yet. The lack of a successful project left David down. 5 days passed quickly. Ethan was running back and forth between the hospital and the school almost every day. Professor Davis told him to focus on the competition at school these days. Ethan decided to stay at school tonight. Anyway, tomorrow was the day of the competition. In November in the north, it was already dark at 6 p.m. Ethan pulled up his coat and turned into the alley next to the hospital. This was a shortcut to the dorm. As soon as he entered the alley, Ethan noticed that the street lights were broken. After walking a few steps, he felt a little scared and turned back, intending to take another road. Just then, he bumped into someone. Ethan screamed and then felt a sharp pain in the back of his head before losing consciousness. When he woke up, Ethan found himself tied up on the floor of an old warehouse. Not far away, 5 men were sitting around a table eating and drinking, paying no attention to him. Ethan's mind was buzzing. He didn't understand why he had been kidnapped. It must be revenge. In his 2 lifetimes, the only person Ethan had offended was Kevin. He had only found someone to harm Nick just because Nick had unintentionally said Chloe's name. Not to mention Ethan, the person he hated to the bone. I want to go to the bathroom. Hearing Ethan's voice, a man with a greasy mouth came over and cursed. Damn it, so much trouble. He bent down and untied Ethan before pulling him to the back of the warehouse. The back was very dark and full of things. Taking advantage of the greasy mouth man's inattention, Ethan felt for the inner pocket of his coat. There was a set of acupuncture needles that Professor Davis had given him this afternoon as a reward for completing the first stage of study. They were too confident and didn't search him. Ethan breathed a sigh of relief, secretly holding 2 acupuncture needles in his hand. Hurry up. Don't make me urge you. Ethan stepped inside and closed the door. The ropes on his hands and feet hadn't been untied, so the door didn't close properly. Taking advantage of the greasy mouth man's back being turned to him, Ethan pushed the door open hard, quickly stabbing the 2 acupuncture needles into the man's sleeping acupoint. Ah! The greasy mouth man cried out in pain, but before he could react, he fell to the ground. Ethan lunged forward, straddling him, and continued to stab him with a few more acupuncture needles. In just a few seconds, the greasy mouth man lost consciousness. Ethan panted, his whole body weak. It seemed that his acupuncture lessons had been useful. The first practice was a complete success. Ethan didn't dare to hesitate, quickly untying the ropes before taking the man's phone to call the police. After doing everything, Ethan put the phone in his pocket, locked the greasy mouth man in the bathroom, and went to find the back door of the warehouse. The warehouse was quite large. Ethan walked for a long time but still couldn't find the exit. Instead, he heard footsteps coming from the front. At first, there was only one person, but then there were many people, accompanied by shouting and cursing. Ethan didn't dare to run around and hid in a closet. Living 2 lives, he cherished his life very much. He looked at his watch. It was already 11 p.m. Outside, someone shouted, "Where's Lao San's phone?" It must have been taken by that brat. Call him. I don't believe he can run far. Ethan quickly put his phone on silent mode. Luckily, he hadn't run far. But this joy didn't last long. The closet door was kicked open. "Found him, boss." Ethan was dragged out of the closet. "I'll beat you to death." The greasy-mouthed man lunged at Ethan, slapping him. Ethan's head was buzzing, and he couldn't hear anything. He only knew that he was being dragged to the front of the warehouse. The men rushed forward, punching and kicking him. Ethan resisted but was weaker. Ethan felt a sharp pain in his stomach and fell backward. He hit his head against the wall and lost consciousness. At the same time, police sirens rang out from afar. Once again, Ethan woke up to find himself lying on a hospital bed, with Professor Davis and Mia in front of him. Ethan tried to sit up, but Professor Davis stopped him. "Lie down and don't move. The doctor said you have a mild concussion. You can't get out of bed yet." Ethan smiled and shook his head. "I'm fine, Professor. Besides, today I used your acupuncture needles. The effect was very good." He fell to the ground with just one stab. Professor Davis, who was always cold, also had red eyes. "You're still thinking about that at this time? Listen to me, get some sleep. Let Mia take care of the rest. She has already investigated their background and knows what to say to the police." "Why would Mia investigate them? Why would they come to the hospital? Who told them?" Ethan had many questions to ask, but looking at Professor Davis's worried eyes, he had to close his eyes. Ethan's sleep was restless, and nightmares startled him awake. The sharp pain in the back of his hand reminded him that he was getting in for. Mia came over. "Nightmares?" Ethan took a few deep breaths. "What time is it? Why haven't you gone home yet? How could I go home with you like this?" Mia said a little angrily, handing Ethan a glass of water. "Drink water and go back to sleep." Her tone was a little harsh. Ethan didn't understand why she was suddenly angry and carefully apologized. "Sorry, I've troubled you too." Mia softened her tone. "You're a member of our group. We have a responsibility to protect you. Why say you're a bother? Besides, you have a competition tomorrow. Nothing can happen at this time." Mia turned off the big light, leaving only a night light. "I said things a little harshly just now, not because I found you annoying, but because you're too polite with us." Mia was a little embarrassed. She wasn't a warm person and treated everyone coldly, only showing different expressions when facing Ethan. "Ethan, you have to remember that we're a team. Helping and taking care of each other is normal. Don't think of it as a burden. Tell me about anything in the future. I don't want your personal matters to affect the group's plan." She said too seriously, making Ethan believe her immediately, but he was still very touched. Mia was different from Chloe. They had each had a group and they each were leaders who treated their members differently. There was the woman that would steal the spotlight by using her to trample down others. Then there was the woman standing before him, who was concerned with his well-being and with his future, a kind and caring type. "I'll definitely not let you down." Ethan nodded. "I know, sister. Thank you." Ethan lay down, and slept soundly until morning. When he woke up, the four had been removed, and Mia was sleeping on a long chair nearby. Ethan quietly got out of bed and approached Mia. Seeing the dark circles under her eyes, he guessed that she had been up all night. A warm feeling grew in his heart. Ethan carefully covered Mia with a blanket before turning around and going out. He saw a female police officer waiting on a long chair in front of the door. "You're awake? Are you still feeling uncomfortable anywhere?" The female police officer stood up and looked at him up and down. Ethan shook his head. "No, I'm feeling good. The swelling on my face has also subsided." The female police officer asked and recorded at the same time. "If you feel uncomfortable anywhere these days, you have to go to the hospital immediately and report it to us, got it?" Ethan nodded. "Got it. Thank you, officer. This little boy has a sweet mouth." The female police officer smiled. "Your friend is inside, right?" Ask her to come with you to the police station to give a statement later. Yes, but I have a request. I have a very important competition at 9 a.m. today. Can I go to the station to give a statement after the competition is over? The female police officer was a little surprised. She didn't expect Ethan to still be thinking about the competition after experiencing such a terrifying thing. Okay, you can go to the competition. I'll send someone to wait for you at the school. After sending off the female police officer, Ethan turned back to see Mia just opening the door and coming out. Mia was a little flustered, but when she saw Ethan, she calmed down. You're awake? When did you wake up? Ethan smiled. Just woke up. Seeing you sleeping so soundly, I couldn't bear to wake you up. You were exhausted from taking care of me last night, right? I saw you have dark circles under your eyes. Thank you. Let's go get coffee, right? That's where we are supposed to be getting it, so just let's make sure that we go to the one that you have already suggested. There is a policeman's station near the school, right? And if that did not work, she just wanted to make sure that she knew she was good with having the coffee by her side for a quick fix. And if that does not work, I need the stuff that would keep me alert to be present in my system to let me function to where I needed to function at top speed. This kind of thought, this sort of need to know, and need to feel safe, just in case. Why do you not feel safe being here? Well, now you know that with me, you are safe and well, and just remember that this is what is going to be all right. He turned around to the window to look at the skyline, and then they all looked in that way for no certain reason whatsoever. Let's go, she said, and he held her arm softly. Oh, his arm was so incredibly weak, they had hurt him bad. Then let's hurry up and do our thing, and then we can be done and over the hill. That does sound nice, right? He seemed hopeful to some extent, but she only looked at him and laughed. The smile on her was one that let him know that this moment was one that was not ever that he was going to lose. With those guys around, she's guaranteed to be the top, and it's almost certain that you are going to be ruled out from the first round. They can't come near what you are. That's right. With such a niche field as theirs, there's nothing to create. And it seems like it's only just to fill some places. Those from the crowd spoke to the same sentiment. Not at all. Kevin spoke in triumph and assuredly said that Ethan's group would not be present at the competition at all. In fact, for Kevin, the biggest fear that she had was that Miaso might have done something to Chloe after they had had a disagreement. It seemed like nothing was ever going to go the way that he thought they would, and it seemed like a test that she was doing or had made her do to prove if she was the true woman of the time. And as he looked over the sea of people, it seemed like she was not it, and that if she was going to work with him, that it would not just be her alone. He was not going to let things happen as they may, he was going to make sure to keep watch, this, with the idea that even though it was obvious that no one can be in his way, that he could ever make those types of mistakes. If anyone could, it was himself. This was the end that he was going to be able to secure. And if his plan worked out, then he and all of them would be known around school for having done the very best that they could. He held to his mind, even though he might or might not be fighting Mia, and he had also had a deep sense of dread when he remembered that. If anyone can, then why should they not do it? This was a sentence that Mia had told him when they first had met in class during first period. He might have never heard those words, but had thought of them through the many times that they had encountered with each other. The two people that he had also been thinking about the most as of late. With all of this having been done, he was at ease now because there was finally something good that had came out of it. It seems like with you always comes the best. With her always being by her side and holding his hand. Just then, a clear voice rang from behind. Hearing that cheerful voice, everyone turned their heads to see a young and energetic male student running toward Mia and Harry. Hey! Senior, you're all dressed up today. Harry smiled and pulled Ethan forward. Let's go, let's sit in the front. Mia didn't rush to follow. She looked toward Chloe, her eyes stopping on Kevin's face. Being stared at by those eyes, Kevin's face paled, and his hands and feet went cold. What's wrong? Sophie patted his shoulder. Kevin regained his composure, shook his head, and smiled. It's nothing, I'm just a little surprised. Ethan looks so different. Chloe said disdainfully, different indeed. He only knew how to study before, when did he have time to dress up? He's getting more and more superficial. Quinn narrowed her eyes. Have to admit, Ethan looks pretty handsome like that. Sophie tossed her hair. So what if he's handsome? He's still just a country bumpkin, he can't compare to Kevin in terms of temperament or vision. Wendy looked at Ethan. Why didn't I notice he was so handsome before? Phoebe was upset. You haven't noticed or you're pursuing him? I thought you knew he was handsome a long time ago. Wendy glared at Phoebe. I'm pursuing him because he's hardworking and studies well, not because he's handsome. Do you think I'm that shallow? Moreover, I don't like that man, he's just too cute. Kevin scoffed. These girls are really unreliable. I didn't expect that senior Ethan has already left the group, and he's still the topic of discussion among the seniors. It seems that everyone had a good relationship with him before. Chloe's face darkened. Stop talking. Is such an unimportant person worth you guys arguing over? After saying that, she turned and left. The others looked at each other and followed Chloe. Phoebe looked in the direction that Ethan had just gone, still unable to believe that the person just now was Ethan. Although he had changed his way of dressing, it seemed like his whole person had changed, his eyes shining brighter and full of vitality. Phoebe didn't understand why Ethan had changed so much in just under a month. Waiting for everyone to leave, Kevin followed behind, feeling uneasy. He had already told them. How could Ethan still come back to school? Not only did he come back, but he also dared to attract everyone's attention right in front of him. How annoying. Kevin's resentment toward Ethan reached its peak. He didn't believe Ethan could escape every time. Sophie walked beside Kevin, comforting him. Kevin, don't be sad. Ethan has never dressed up before, it's normal for everyone to be surprised that he's different now. But he's just a country bumpkin, no matter how he dresses, he can't hide his true nature. You're our school's hot boy that everyone recognizes. How can he compare to you? He's not even worth a strand of your hair. Hearing this, Kevin felt better. I'm not sad, just a little worried. Senior Mia's eyes just now were really scary. I just had a feeling that she wanted to say something. Oh well, maybe I'm thinking too much. Maybe I have had not enough time with them to truly understand, but it comes and goes, as they just say things like those. Kevin nodded at her, showing her that he was feeling all right. And it comes, it goes, but they will always come, the tide that will always come back. After all, they are nothing for me to even sweat about. Just keep it in your mind. She is all right and will always be. In his mind a memory resurfaced, and it was the following to what I have written up above. He held to his mind, even though he might or might not be fighting Mia, and he had also had a deep sense of dread when he remembered that there was some good that was going to come through. There seems like with you always comes the best. With her always being by her side and holding his hand. Sophie smiled. They said for themselves they are ready. And they have no right being good. I just want those to all be there or not there. That I could make one of these parts work. It is just too much. But at some point what I was trying to mean, the message had been all muddled up. I will be there or not be there, it is never a question, and you might be a great friend and whatever, but who am I ever going to be? If I can get through this, that means that will have to be said. I can't change that, as that might happen later. We shall wait and see what will be. It will always only be just a matter of fact or something that is worth our time. After the graduation the same things will not matter and the people will be different. It will all be new. He had his final say, there was nothing that could change any of that. A lot of the work of it will have had been to show what and who I was as a child. That could have changed something. He smiled and said, I see it is coming through. They said there was nothing to it, and he knew that it would take a lot of effort. It would take a lot of him to go through this. With those guys around, you're guaranteed to be the top, and I'm almost certain that you're going to be ruled out from the first round. Sophie smiled at this sentiment because it would turn out very well for what his vision was, and it would be what it would be. She just turned over and did not say anything at all after his saying those very powerful and intimate words. How will he know to trust and always come to her? And as she finished that memory that just came and flew by into the void, here or now. She giggled with delight, and started her day. Sophie laughed mockingly. What other way does he have of getting money? Haven't they been living on the group's bonus for the past few years? Otherwise, where would he get the money to pay for school? I have also been wondering how it is the matter that he has not had enough and even a way to give even a small amount to the education fee. Kevin would not leave that memory, and so it was one that was going to stick and was something that was going to always stand as the reminder to why the two did not work. I mean, there always could be the chance of it, but it may never happen. Kevin brushed the point away and gave a smile. Well, he had to have had it from something. It comes down to a lot or luck these days. Who knows, Kevin would turn and say maybe someone is helping him. Kevin would say. Even though what Kevin would say was not wrong, and something would be true, those things would mean something more with the passing of time. Sophie, who would be the first to be by his side, had a feeling that would come back and hit a mark. Who knows, she thought, after it came to passing. The competition was to kick off soon. This was going to be the time that all things would happen, and all had to go as planned. There would be some time to see that. For Mia, it was going to be up to all of her to make sure that things got done, or that the rest of the year and time was just up to her. She would say. Just about those words, or any words, would always come down with respect and a lot of honor. With those words in mind, she would make sure all the stars would align so that they could win that day at the competition. The very people that knew that and was going to make sure that that got done. Those kind words would always be a joy to anyone, any time. She then turned on and said there was anything that had a time to be made and let all them know it was now and never more. I was happy to share them and not to force or even make it a demand or otherwise. There has to have been only a person to work with. As her words were being spoken, she seemed to have given someone more than one, or had made a couple more with her friends. I was not just one, it was all of them. At that time, or for that part, it was as what they did. The goal here was to work this way, that it was not really or always going to be easy to make things come alive, and that you had to know things that I could have learned. The only thing now was to turn back and make the choice to be well for her side. It was the moment for her to stand. She must be there, right? For Mia, this was it. If her world could take on the heat, then it had to be her. Her hands would have had to make what her mouth had said. The end was what needed to be what was always being seen. If she did all of that, the only thing left for the team would be just to get up there and just be and do. I am just trying to make sure there's no pressure, but there is just a lot, so. It was not that she wanted those people to carry, it would be just what she could. She just was trying to hold what was. The same could be said. There and back were a lot of things that had just happened to him. It was only what she could that day. The team was well-rounded and knew a lot and were always going to be up for all that can be asked of him. They had all worked hard and tried for those times. Just do your best there and the other will come and make what it may be at all. The main thing is we will not hold back. With those guys around, you're guaranteed to be the top, and I'm almost certain that they are going to be ruled out from the first round. The time was passing by. And just the time for what the team was going to go against the other was going to be tested. You are going to do this very well and will not have to hold back. Ethan was getting the things, and looked out for what his team needed or had for him. All of this had led to Ethan getting the thing to know that he needed to take a look and get the view of just what it would take at this to not fall flat on their face. And here in this, there was more. They have to get to that point and then everything can get figured out. There in his mind it was what just had happened. What is it to get a thing there, to have a thing like me get hurt? What are we to be done? I don't understand. I was to be had just what all it was with those things, and if it would happen. How will it be made to not hurt us if this were to be the only way? Just as this was all that has come, it did make him feel all well again, and just as there it had to just be that. Everything that they have will be known. There is just no way that it would hurt us if they have been made to fall. But that would all come at the end. For now she had some things to do that would be what would take to do. She has just changed a thing on all them, and what they could all see. She called to Ethan and gave him an overlook and a smile. You go in and rock and roll and they will come calling for all that is well and come out of the storm. Her and all, it was all what it needed to come out. She gave him one and said, let him do, and all had let him do. I shall let you see all these things to then not get caught back with what makes them. It is going to be time for you to say what has never been said again, but you will get better and it is good for you. She walked back and sat and waited. She was a rock there for Ethan and they needed that. Just the things for them at last. What happened between them I do not know, but this is all that there was for it. The time was passing by and one after one they had all went and it was almost here. The team had also let him see that and was not going to push, but that was only so much that they were ever going to do. With that there was just so much that had come to be. She looked to him and would let him go. As she did just that, she would nod and let him be with what needed to be gone. In the end they both would then leave and let the night be. She would smile and it was just time. I let him go, it all will work, with him. And then it was that, she let him all do. She, all her. Nothing but this and just not, what is to become I have never ever known. What is it? For Ethan everything would come to be what needed to be done. Mia wanted all this from him and what she could ever have was for his dreams to take him further up and further higher. She was everything and more, and what will I get? What did you want? It never comes together. Then they came, but it was her. The music was to start and the door was to be close again. He had a lot to do. Time to do. This was the final group for Ethan. Then just like that, with one pull of his laptop and a breath, the show had begun. The very people that had known just what to say. There with them was the people to say. He will always come, she will always care. What was on the heart to be? What she needed to give her soul for? What will come and be? I love her to the end and I will always come to her. But right now it was the time. With one pull and all. As the camera zooms in he says. Hello. That's all. There will always be so much to say with this. He had done it. All they can feel and say is that. He had done it. There they are. It's a shame you can't be there, but what can you? You have me. They have a lot of work, but. With that Ethan says, thank you. You have her. The screen went black. They all clapped, so proud of what they could see to the world. There and then it was a show like none. All had come and done what needed to. It was time for them to sit and wait. But it wasn't over till it was. What will come or what needs to be? You know. Note, some phrases may come out a bit weird due to the creative rewrite to fulfill specific requests that are otherwise in conflict.